Hey Saras, go to the boxes.
Understood. Going to the boxes. Looking for the boxes. Boxes spotted. Moving closer. Reached the boxes.
Hey everyone, you just saw a glimpse of my AI robot Saras. Saras stands for Smart Autonomous AI Robotic System, and it's also named after Ma Saraswati, the Hindu goddess of knowledge and wisdom. I already made a full video of Saras where it can talk, think, see, and it can also explore the world on its own. And if you haven't seen that yet, definitely check it out. It will give you a full picture of what this robot is really capable of. Now ever since I posted that video, many of you have been asking for a tutorial. So here we are. This video is all about how I built Saras from scratch, focusing entirely on the hardware part, the components I used, how I assembled them, and how it all came together. Just a heads up, I am not a robotic expert. This was actually my very first robotic project. I come from a data engineer and AI background, but this whole hands-on building experience was totally new to me. Still, I wanted to share everything I learned in case it helps you take your first step into robotics too. This isn't a perfect or polished build, but it works. And I'll try to keep things simple, so either you can follow along or use this as an inspiration to build your own version, maybe better. And also I didn't want to make this tutorial a very long video, so in this video I'll be only covering the hardware part. The software, code, AI integration, everything will be covered in the follow-up video. And one last thing, I have already started working on a Saras 2.0, which is bigger, smarter, and a complete overhaul. So stay tuned for that as well in the future videos. Alright, enough talking, let's see how I built Saras from scratch. Okay, so here's a quick look at the design I made in Fusion 360. I wanted something modular and easy to stack, with space for motors, first level where I could fit battery, a second level for the Pi, and a top section to mount the screen, camera, sensors. It's definitely not perfect, but it was decent enough to hold all the components together neatly. And after that, I just printed all parts on my 3D printer. And if you don't have a 3D printer, you need to get creative. Probably you could use cardboard or acrylic sheets. Now let's take a quick look on the components I have used in order to bring Saras to life. Everything I mentioned in this video is also linked in the description below. Okay, so here's what I used. A pair of DC motors. And yes, they came with small tires. But I swapped those out for larger ones to make Saras look more aesthetically balanced and a bit more rugged. A L29810 motor driver to control these motors, a Raspberry Pi, this is the brain of our Saras, a 7-inch HDMI display that gives Saras its face, a USB omnidirectional microphone, this lets Saras hear voice commands, a USB speaker so it can respond back, a bunch of jumper cables, standoffs and screws for connecting and stacking components. And of course, the robot body, which I 3D printed. For power, I used a couple of options, including a 5V power bank and a 7.4V battery pack. Well, power turned out to be the trickiest part of this whole build, so make sure you don't skip that section. I'll show you all the things I tried, what failed, and finally, what worked. Now before we jumped into the actual build, I also want to talk about the cost, because that's something which a lot of people has asked me in the first video. So the total cost of Saras came around to be 150 USD, and that includes everything you see in this video. Now I know a lot of you are watching from India, and it should cost you around 6,000 or 7,000 INR, depending on where you buy your components from. To make it easier, I have put everything on a spreadsheet, so let's take a look. So here's a full breakdown. I have listed each component, the quantity, average cost and total. You can pause the video here and take a better look. You'll notice the Raspberry Pi and display are the costliest items, but they are also the core of the robot. Well, if you want, you can skip the display, which would save you around $30, as it is mainly for the aesthetics of the robot. And yes, I did use a 3D printer for most of the body, but if you don't have access to one, you can totally prototype using cardboard or acrylic sheets. With all the parts ready, let's move on to the actual assembly. The first thing I worked on was attaching the DC motors to the chassis. I used screws to mount them in place. But then I realized something was off. I had printed the chassis slightly wrong. The motor placement was too far inside, which meant the bigger tires I bought couldn't fit properly. So I had to improvise. I added standoffs between the chassis and the motors to push them outward. Surprisingly, that ended up working well. It has not only fixed the tire clearance issue, but also gave a nice shock absorbent effect to the base. After that, I attached all the 4 tires and manually rolled the chassis to make sure they were fitted well and spinning freely. Okay, so the motors are mounted, tires in, and we've got a sturdy rolling base. Now let's move on to wiring motors. In this step, we have to wire the motors and get them working to our motor driver. I connected the 2 left side motor wires together and the same for the right side motors. That's because the L298 motor driver I used only supports 2 major inputs. So the left motors receive the same signal and the right ones do too. That means they'll rotate together, not independently, but good enough for simple movement. Then I connected the motor wires to the L298N driver. This step is very important. Wiring needs to match the correct polarity. If you connect the wrong terminals, you might find your robot moving backward when you press forward, or even worse, motors cancelling each other out staying still. And yes, that happened to me too. So double check the wiring diagram in the description and make sure you are connecting everything properly. With the base done, let's prep our robot for the second floor, where the Raspberry Pi sits in. I added standoffs on top of the chassis. These will hold up the second layer where the Raspberry Pi will sit. At the back, I also added extra standoffs for the power bank compartment so the battery doesn't slide around or fall out when the robot moves. This gives me a solid 2-tier setup to work with. Now let's mount the Pi and talk about the trickiest part of this whole build, the power setup. First, I screwed in more standoffs to hold the Raspberry Pi in place, and then mounted the Pi securely on the second floor. Before placing the second floor completely, I inserted the power bank underneath. This was meant to power everything. At first, I thought it would be simple. My power bank has both a 7.4 volt and a 5 volt output. So I figured I could power both the DC motors and the Raspberry Pi from the same bank. But it didn't work that way. Turns out the power bank could only power one device at a time, not both simultaneously. So I tried getting clever. I used a buck converter to bring the 7.4 volt down to 5 volt for the Pi. Well, technically it worked, but the current was divided, and neither the Pi nor the motors got enough juice to run properly. And then eventually I gave up on the idea and just powered them separately. The DC motors ran on 18650 batteries, and the Pi ran on a regular 5 volt power bank. It wasn't I originally planned, but after a lot of hit and trial, it worked. By the way, at the time of this video recording, I found a smarter way to power everything together. So what I'm using now is a 7.4 volt LiPo battery to power everything together. But that's still in work in progress, so probably I'll cover that in another video. Alright, now that I have a working power plan, it was time to wire things up properly. Now come the part where Raspberry Pi would talk to L298N driver. I connected wires from the L298 motor driver to the GPIO pins of the Raspberry Pi. This allows the Pi to send signals to the driver, telling it which motors to turn on, when, and in which direction. Here you can see the robot is working. There is a quick code I wrote which is running on the Pi, which controls the motor movement via these connections. Right now, I have a Python script running that lets me control Saras with my keyboard. When I press the arrow keys, like up for forward, down for reverse, the motors respond in real time. So I won't go into the software side in this video, otherwise it would easily become an hour long, but I'll explain all of that in a dedicated software video soon. Now just when I thought everything is working as expected, a new problem popped up. I noticed Saras wasn't turning properly, especially not left or right. After sitting with the issue for a couple of hours, it strikes to me that the custom big tires I added were creating too much friction with the flow. And because I was using cheap DC motors, they didn't have enough torque to overcome the resistance. Now at this point I didn't want to go back to the tiny tires, so I tried something else. I wrapped scotch tape around the tires threads to reduce friction, just to test the idea. It looked kind of silly, but guess what? It actually worked. Saras started turning much more smoothly. Eventually I replaced the scotch tape with electric tape and then finally switched to a vinyl tape for a cleaner, more durable look. Well, sometimes you just have to prototype scrappy, function first, aesthetic later. With the base moving properly, it was time to build up, starting with the head. First I mounted the speaker holder blocks on the first floor. These are important because the display sits on top of them, so they act like the neck of the robot, supporting the face. Then I prepared the display mount, which would hold the HDMI screen. Next step, let's give Saras eyes, ears and voice. I installed the Raspberry Pi camera module, which acts as Saras vision system. Be careful while doing this. The ribbon cable on the camera is fragile and can easily break. I mounted the camera holder just above the display frame and attached the Pi cam to it. Funny thing, I initially installed it upside down and didn't realize until later. But I eventually fixed it and rotated it into the correct position. Then I secured the 7-inch HDMI display to the frame and connected it to the Pi. Next, I plugged the omnidirectional USB microphone. This lets Saras hear me. And then the USB speaker so Saras can speak back. So now Saras has face, ears, eyes and voice. The whole expression system was coming together. Now for the finishing details. I installed 3 ultrasonic sensors, one in the front, one on the left and one on the right. These help Saras detect obstacles while moving. I also replaced the rough looking electrical tape with black vinyl tape. It gave the chassis a cleaner, more polished look and also held up better to friction. And finally, the moment of truth. I plugged in power to the Raspberry Pi and there it is, boot locks on the screen. It worked. I gave Saras a quick spin and yes, it moved smoothly in all directions. While after all the trial and error, it was a great feeling seeing Saras come alive. So that's how I built the hardware for Saras. From motors and Raspberry Pi to voice, vision and display. And if you have watched my first video on Saras, you have already seen what it can do once the AI and software parts come together. And if not, go check it out. It's the full vision in action. And now since you have seen the assembly process, it might give you inspiration to build your own. Even if you aren't from a hardware or robotics background. I wasn't either. It was my first time building something like this. If I can do it with some trial and error, you definitely can too. But this isn't the end. I'm already working on a Saras 2.0. It's going to be completely offline, working on its own, everything locally. No APIs, no cloud, no internet needed. And of course, I'll be covering the software and AI part in the later videos. Thanks for watching and see you in the next build.